Shalom, Kal Halal, Yahweh Shem Yahushua, Bahashim Kodash. Double honors to the elder apostles and elder bishops of GMS, including the elders that came before them that taught us this truth. Shalom and salutations to all the brothers out pushing the word of truth and in sincerity, the hopeful elect tabernacle of David. To the I'm the brother Yahshua. I'm back with the WW3 Daily Update. Shalom and salutations to you as well. I'm basically going to let Nate of the Canadian Prepper speak. He'll give the update. Jeremiah 51 and 46. Let's read it in the NLT. But do not panic, don't be afraid when you hear the first rumor of approaching forces, right? For rumors will keep coming year by year. Violence will erupt in the land as the leaders fight against each other. Talk about world war, right? Year after year. Hey, when did the not Crimean, but Ukraine, the Ukrainian Russian war over the Donbass, when did that begin? Roughly 2012, between '09 and 2013, 2014. And here we are today, right? It's going down right now, and the focus is on the Middle East, as though what's going on in Eastern Eastern Europe ain't even going on. You understand? So anyway, we'll let Nate just, he's gonna give you the update. And what I want you to notice, right? He's gonna be telling jokes because the situation is so dire. But notice the different names and the different theaters of war, right? And different skirmishes that you wouldn't even know about, right? Unless you're watching somebody like him, right? Bring all these things together so that, it only spells one thing: world war. The world is at war with each other. Take it away, Nick.
All right, guys. So I got some good news. It's been a relatively peaceful 48 hours as far as the incremental slow creep towards World War III is concerned.
Did he say World War III? Huh. Take it away. Keep that in mind.
All right, guys. So I got some good news. It's been a relatively peaceful 48 hours as far as the incremental slow creep towards World War III is concerned, with the small exception of Ireland nearly burning its cities to the ground in response to what some people are calling an Algerian illegal immigrant terrorist style attack on the population there. I guess that's blowback for 30 years of Middle Eastern meddling. And in pushback to that, we're seeing the rise of populist movements around the world gaining steam, pushback to the inevitable blowback. It's about that time of the month. But that is not all. I lied. It has not been a peaceful 48 hours because you see, NATO is preparing for war with the Russians. They are trying to get rid of all of the impediments that might be in the way of moving large amounts of military equipment across Europe towards the Russian border. We also have things heating up on the Korean Peninsula. You see, the North Koreans, just the other day, about 72 hours ago, they sent a satellite up into space successfully. They're calling it a satellite. Who knows what it really is? Is it a nuclear weapon? We don't know. Regardless, South Korea decided to abandon this agreement that they made in 2018, a military agreement which would have them limit and restrict the use of military equipment in and around the demarcation line there. Okay? Now, in response to North Korea's firing of the satellite, the South Koreans withdrew. The North Koreans said, okay, we're going to withdraw also. Then they decided to send more military equipment that they're in the process of doing right now, sending more troops and military equipment towards the demarcation line, as the South Koreans are saying, we're no longer going to honor the no-fly zone that exists along the border between South Korea and North Korea, meaning we're just one gunshot away from this thing possibly going nuclear, because U.S. nuclear submarine inbound to the Korean Peninsula as we speak. The South Koreans are saying that they have evidence that the North Koreans are about to conduct a nuclear test, and just all around things do not look good on that front. Now, if only that was the only good news to report, we have the International Atomic Energy Agency sounding the alarm over what Iran is up to. They're saying that they're restricting the movement and access of their inspectors, and that this of course might be indicative of Iran's pursuance of enrichment of uranium beyond what has been agreed to in the past between the JCPOA countries. Now, what this of course means is that this would be license for Israel and the United States to potentially enter into a conflict with Iran that we know is coming. Now, that
there are some moments you'll always remember. Enduring, magical clips of life that live in a special place in your heart.
Slocky for the commercial. Akim.
Now, that probably wouldn't be an issue if the U.S. warships in the Red Sea weren't being fired on a regular by the Houthis. Okay, we got that situation brewing as well. And that's not all. We got this truce coming up. We're going to see how long this 4-day ceasefire, whatever the hell it is, lasts. I don't think it's going to last. To be brutally honest, I don't see how it's going to last without being violated every which way from Sunday. I just cannot see this thing lasting. And of course, they're saying that if this isn't successful, they, being the IRGC overlords, the Iranian foreign minister, that if this truce does not stick, it will mean inevitable expansion of the conflict into the region at large. Now, that's not our only problem, because you see, OpenAI is up to something. You know Sam Altman, the prepper, Sam Altman, the doomsday prepper, the self-proclaimed doomsday prepper? Well, he was fired from OpenAI 4 days ago, and then he mysteriously came back. Now, people are sounding the alarm, saying that his firing was linked to some developments towards what they call artificial generalized intelligence, basically the machine gaining the capability of a human brain and then exponentially getting more intelligent as it renders better versions of itself over and over again and engineers better versions of itself. But in order to do this, it needs to do math. Now, they're saying that it's learned how to do grade school math. Just grade school math. You know, just grade 12 calculus level stuff, right? Not the stuff that they do in universities on the chalkboard with Goodwill Hunting. That's next year, so don't worry. So this, of course, has sparked alarm because this is a risk to humanity. A risk to humanity because, of course, if artificial intelligence gains super omnipotent, all-knowing, all-seeing intelligence, who would want that? Those guys who fantasize about the number 33 all the time? Quite possibly. But this, of course, is going to spark the interest of the DOD, the CIA, the NSA, the FBI, all those three-letter agencies. You can bet that they are in there like a dirty shirt. Now, we got to talk about a bunch of other things, and I got to go into greater depth about all of these stories, but that one in particular I want to talk about first. I've made numerous videos on artificial intelligence. I've interviewed artificial intelligence experts who have been sounding the alarm on this ChatGPT language-based neural network models for some time, but now they're about to integrate math, and this is what they have to say. And I want you to remember something. If you think that the ChatGPT 4 that you're using, or the Grok that is on X right now, if you think that that is the state of the art, then I got some beachfront property up here in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. It's
okay. He's kind of going off into something else. I want to hear World War III
in Ukraine. That is just a example of exactly what the government would do if they knew that this was a legitimate threat to national security. And you can bet that they are developing this in concert with the government. I don't believe that the government would allow such a thing to exist if it did have the capability to be a national security threat. So, ahead of OpenAI's CEO Sam Altman's 4 days in exile, because remember, he was gone for 4 days, then they brought him back. People were protesting at the company that they were going to quit and blah, 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 so they brought him back. Why did he quit was the question. Does he know something? Now, they are saying that this breakthrough called Q, would they call it, Q? At this point in time with the whole Q, I'm not even going to say the word thing, but anyways, Q star, all right? Could be a breakthrough in the startup search for what is known as artificial generalized intelligence. Now, they're saying that this is just the AI's ability to do lower level math, grade school math, they call it. Well, grade school goes from grade 1 to grade 12, and you do calculus in grade 12, and it's not exactly the easiest kind of calculus at that end of the spectrum. Maybe.
Okay, he's talking about AI and how it self-replicates and da-da-da-da. I want to hear about the war.
Fire in the Middle East. He underlined that if it does not continue, meaning that if it does not go from 4 days to 5 days, because they're making the allotment within the agreement that if they agree to
they're talking about the ceasefire right now,
continue releasing hostages thereafter, then they will continue the truce. However, you got to think, if Hamas gets rid of all the hostages, they have zero leverage at that point. And then it's just going to be carte blanche, scorched earth, total war waged against the Gaza Strip. There's not going to...
That's what I want to hear, total war. I believe they did release 25 hostages today, so this was yesterday.
Any reporters or electricity there to document it, and it is just going to be hell on earth if it isn't already. So Hamas is not going to do that. They're not going to allow the release of all the hostages. They're probably going to allow for the release of the women and children, but then the IDF will likely go Hannibal Doctrine style, which means that they will, as they've stated, this is not something I made up, this is something that's on Wikipedia. The IDF had a policy that if it came down to national security, they would neutralize their own if it meant the greater good for utilitarian national security purposes. They would neutralize soldiers on the battlefield, or they would just, start spraying and praying if it meant they can ensure their national security. Do they go Hannibal Doctrine after that? So what happens in the next week is going to dictate where this war goes, because at the...
You hear that? What happens in the next week? I'm going to let him finish the sentence, but then we're going to end it after that. Yeah. And then go back and watch this whole thing, because it's certainly worth watching. All right. So let's let him finish this sentence.
Same time, the war in the West Bank is heating up. Okay, they're doing bombing raids. They're just shooting people in the streets. It is incredibly chaotic there right now. So clearly, this truce does not pertain to Lebanon, and it most definitely does not pertain to the West Bank. The Houthis continue day after day to target U.S. warships and the Israeli cities. There's just so many pieces of news in the last 48 hours.
That is significant news. All right, to understand that there's a ceasefire with Hamas in Gaza, but not in the West Bank, not with Hezbollah in Lebanon, not with the Houthi rebels in Yemen, not with Iran. Okay, so that's significant to understand that and see. That's a piece of news that it's worthwhile to have. Let's just say it like that. So anyway, what I'm doing is I'm qualifying the Canadian prepper. And the Canadian prepper, you can say what the hell you want to. But how you glean information in an information war is entirely up to you. If you understand Sun Tzu and the Art of War. So let's get one more. Let's just get out with... let us get out with the Revelation. If all else is in doubt, go to Revelation 11 and 14, and you'll explain the whole situation. The second woe is past. If we substitute world war for woe, the second world war has passed. Behold, the third world war is coming shortly. Go back and listen to Nate, okay? Listen to the whole video. What is he talking about? He's talking about World War III. Look at this. He's not talking about buy camouflage nets, buy bug out roll-ups. He's not talking about buy freeze-dried food. He's not talking about prepping. He's talking about World War III. Okay, let's look at the title. Alert. Okay, hey, should be on your watch. NATO executes Schengen. Panic over AGI. That's AI. So that doesn't qualify as war. It will very soon when the AI starts calling the shots. USA nuclear subs, right? Iran, blah, blah, blah. Right? More. Let me get more. That's it. Iran. It goes on. This is all what? World War III. All right, so watch this. This is yesterday. Thanks killing. Okay. Canadian prepper. Right? He's going to make videos tonight. So keep your eye on this guy if you want to stay abreast, if you will. I like that word, abreast. Okay. Yeah, with that, we hope that the elect are edified. Third woe is coming shortly. With that, we're going to say, Shalom.